So welcome. I am glad to see you here, whether it's live or later with Zoom. And if you just take one thing out of this webinar in the next 60 minutes or so, it's that it has the potential to change your life, all right? I mean, really. So remove distractions, take out a pen and paper, open up a doc maybe for notes that as you go along, and note your questions. I'll stop at the end. And so my primary goal is to give you several life and coaching tools that can change your life and that you can start to use immediately to see your life begin to transform. And I will end up with some awareness and an invitation around Artists of the Spirit, but that's later. So the tools that I'm going to show you today, they work for everybody, whether you're a coach or not. But since one size does not fit all, um, it's like that's why one size does not fit all. And so everything I'll share with you today, the tools, the personality types, coaching processes, they work for everybody. And when used as a coach, they can expand your practice. And so what happens in life to so many, and I know it happens to me, is that you're the trusted like go-to advisor for your friends and your colleagues, right? Even strangers chat you up because you feel safe to them and they feel that they can trust sharing their life with you, their issues, even their secrets sometimes. And so I bet your friends also will tell you that you should be a coach as well, or a counselor or something. And if any of this resonates with you, then this webinar is for you. And then there are the folks that are wanting a career change or maybe a spiritual shift. Often folks get physically worn out at their job, or it's like they can't stand on their feet all day anymore, or they can't massage one more back, period. If that's you, this is also for you. And still others, they get bored, or maybe there's just simply empty nesters, or they're going through a life change. And still others are just simply interested in, say, expanding their current tools on how to help businesses or friends or clients or family to be more, let's say, aligned in what is turning out to actually be an increasingly more aware marketplace. So if that's you, stick around. This is also for you. And then I've even had folks come to me that tell me that they've had Artists of the Spirit on their to-do list for years already. And if that's you, thank you for still being here and keeping us on your bucket list. And so while life coaching makes sense for all of those I've mentioned, another group are the entrepreneurs or the business executives that wonder, all right, that all sounds fine, but how can this approach impact my business? If that's you, stick around. I'm going to tell you exactly how. And modern entrepreneurs really they're thankfully, they're moving into more inclusivity and diversity and being far more spiritually aware so that they're broadening their approach to people in business these days simply because our culture is moving in that direction. It's like cause and effect. As society's needs change and interests change, business has to change with them. And today's kind of chaos, right, is calling out for all of us to bring community back, to strive for more inclusion and more acceptance, and a deeper opening and or understanding of how to connect to the huge diversity of people that actually make up humanity. And so when we learn the skills I'll be talking about today, when we learn to ask better questions, when we learn to actually employ new skills and tools, and when we can actually listen to people rather than dictating to them, we can serve our kids, our friends, our family, our clients, and our customers far better. We manage all of our relationships better, from our work to our beloveds, and everyone benefits as we grow and learn new skills. And that is really cool. And so, probably like you, growing up, I was a very curious child. All right. And I'm sure we all drove our parents a wee bit crazy as kids. It's like for me, I always wanted to know the answer to why, because it was like, if I can learn, I mean, well, for me, it was if I learned why, or if I knew why mom and dad needed something, then I could give it to them. before they either one had to ask for it, or two, I got spanked for not giving it to them already. If you can relate to that, oh, I'm sure you can relate to that. And it turns out, though, that my lesson of understanding their why had some really great gifts to it that I didn't fully appreciate for like another 25 years when I became CEO of a large corporation serving, it's a nonprofit rather, serving people with disabilities in group homes and transitional living, job training and stuff like that. And so I learned to have what I call the magic of curiosity. And I mean it that just this one thing will change your life and the world if you embrace it. So this simple trick, it can turn every business and every relationship around if you consistently use it. So it might seem obvious, but it's really kind of shocking that the majority of people aren't curious. They aren't curious because going to and the reason I'm shocked about it is going to those deeper depths in our lives, it enriches everything, makes our lives richer and our relationships richer. And so understanding those around you better can create harmony. And having it's fun. The fun part is having their appreciation of your interest in them reciprocated. It means it comes back to you. People feel valued, they feel seen, and they're going to value you in return. And this is true. And so, and think about it in your own life. Don't you value the people that value you? It's human, we do. And so, 30 years ago, I got a program from Wayne Dyer. It was called The Psychology of Achievement. And Wayne Dyer, I just adored that man. And in this program, he employed a similar process. And he used it, this was about turning companies around, like Harley Davidson in this example, from near bankruptcy to turning a significant profit again. And Harleys are still here in part for this trick, actually. And so this is the Harley Lowrider. I got to tell you, it's my favorite. It's like, to me, it was the sexiest motorcycle ever. And so what's the actual trick then? And what does it take in a business context? Well, essentially, it's pretty simple. You drop the ego that's saying, hey, it's your way or the highway, right? No pun intended there, but you stop thinking you know it all, and then you start asking questions. All right. You start asking questions. Even if you think you know the answer, and you might. All right, who cares? You ask other people's opinion anyway. Your secretary, the mechanic, the salespeople, kids, teachers, everybody. You ask them what they think about whatever's going on, and then what's going right or wrong, and what might fix it. So you want to ask enough questions of them so that you understand their why. All right. You understand their why for what they're doing, or why the business or the process is failing or succeeding. And then you have to actually listen to their answers. You can not just pay them lip service. All right. Lip service is, yeah, we all know what that feels like. And so it's like knowing the why of what works and what doesn't, knowing the why of what people are thinking and doing. This alone would solve 90% of the world's problems, but only if we stop thinking we know it all. All right. Only if we stop thinking we know it all. And then we ask and then we listen. And this is huge and it affects every aspect of life. So for Harley Davidson, what they did, and what Wayne Dyer, this is the program I took was about, their executives started talking to the guys in the production line. They started listening to the mechanics. They started learning what was actually needed versus what some schematic or page in a book said should work. And it turned the business around. And a great side effect was loyalty from their employees because they were suddenly being heard and valued. And loyalty from their customers because Harley had worked out all this frustrating kinks, that their bikes had had. And so, as I said, the process is it's really, really simple, and it works with everybody: your kids, your family, your partners, your friends, your colleagues, even your bosses. So here's another way to look at it, or say like another example. So it's like you run into Bob and you wonder what on earth he's doing. So rather than go, Bob, what the hell are you doing? You go, hi, Bob, what you doing? And Bob's like, well, okay, I'm changing the diddly doodle here. All right, well, how's that going to work? And then you listen to Bob, and you listen to Bob's reasoning, which might be spot on or totally off. And if it's off, you then ask Bob how he's going to solve the issue or problem. And so let's say Bob's off, and you then ask him, well, if you change that, I can see it helping one segment of our group, but what will you do with the other segments? How can we have a solution that works for everybody? So now you're listening to Bob and you help him work through it by asking and then listening and suggesting and then asking, hey, would that suggestion work? And so this is where you help Bob by getting him to think outside of his box. So now both you and Bob understand, or now you both understand where Bob's coming from, but really important is that you have helped Bob to expand his thinking by asking questions. And that's really valuable. You've helped him expand his thinking because you've been asking questions. And then if he's off course or if he's just wrong, you can offer a suggestion. But here's the key, you ask Bob if he thinks that suggestion will work. And then you let him work on it. In this process, it might take a little bit of time initially, but you're training and supporting Bob to think and not to be an automaton. And so, what so many do, though, is that they will dismiss or ridicule, blame or shame people when they make a mistake or head off course, or they're just like, they're not doing it my way, darn it all, without even knowing why, without knowing the circumstances or the reasoning behind their actions. And then when this happens, is that you, me, kids, partners learn that hey, they can't be honest with you without getting in trouble and being shamed or blamed. And so next they'll learn to hide their mistakes or lie to you or distract you or hide themselves because it's not safe. I mean, really, this is what happens. And we've all experienced it at some point. And if none of, and not one of us enjoys it. So why would we do it to others? Why would we do it to others? And then let's just say Bob was right. Bob was right on. You've got to tell him how cool that is, how great a fix it is. You give him the kudos, the respect. And if you do that, he will want to work with you because he feels appreciated. And studies have shown that this respect increases motivation and loyalty. It is that important. And so this is the psychology of achievement and success. And it's really that simple. What I've seen many folks do, though, is that they're going to start freeze up, they'll to start out because they haven't been asking questions. They're out of practice. And this is why I call one tool simply the curiosity part, the magic of curiosity. I mean, seriously, if we're curious about something, then we just naturally ask questions. So start training yourself to be curious and ask questions. It's like, I wonder how the heck that happened, rather than who the hell did this kind of thing. And so to start practicing, you've got to kind of go to the extreme because most people are out of practice. And so it's like you ask everybody things like, what do you think of this? Or how would you handle that? Or do you think that that's going to work? Or what are other ways to do that might get the same results? So inside or outside of business, you can ask everybody the same or similar questions. And so it's also about a thing I call ask, don't tell. All right. You've got to find out their why before telling them or trying to teach them your why or your orders or your instructions. And so it's like um, if we're interested, hold on a second, I just lost my notes. If we're really, really interested in having mutual relationships, it's really important that we understand each other, okay? And the only way to do that, the only way to have a mutually beneficial relationship is to ask about them, as well as sharing things about yourself. But most people, their heart wants that, But I know too many people, all they do is talk about themselves and they may not even ask you about you. That's not a mutual relationship. To make it mutual, you have to ask, share and ask, give and receive. And so, since so many people freeze when they start learning how to ask questions because they just are out of practice a bit, you can head on over to Artist of the Spirit. There's the website for you. And if you go to that page and you scroll down a bit, there's this freebie at the bottom of it. And so it is, let's see, there it is, that 37 questions. That is at the sort of near the 3/4 of the way down that page. And that's going to support you and will help you if you draw blanks on how to ask questions or questions to ask. And that's just a start. I took that out of my coaching program. You've got 300 plus questions on that. And so one of the most important things to take away from today is that if we will get our thoughts off of ourselves and on to actually seeing and helping somebody else. And then if we're just curious to know the what, when, why, where, and what, when, why, where, and how about them, there is no way we won't have questions to ask. No way. It's impossible not to. You just have to ask them. And so another concept that I've mentioned that you can explore are the 4 strategies. And those are pleaser, controller, isolator, and distractor. And people will operate from one of those. And they can really help us to understand why folks are asking, or not asking, why folks are behaving the way that they are and acting the way that they are. And so I go into a lot of detail on artists, but it's a bit like the Enneagram in that you may be, let's say, an isolator with a distractor kind of wing over there on the side or like a side part. And so you would be using distracting others so that they leave you alone so that you can sneak out the back door, that kind of thing. Or like me, I'm a recovering pleaser controller, and I used to use pleasing to make others happy so I stayed safe and so I could control the situation that I was in. And artists also has tools to expand us out of those strategies and into our strengths and gifts, but that would be another whole webinar unto itself. So an example in real life of this is I was up at the Llama Foundation's retreat center once, and one of the summer people there was talking to me about one of the long-term or year-long residents who we'll just call Sue. And they were telling me that, Sue was in charge of the kitchen, but she didn't seem to even like people because she never actually came into the kitchen. I mean, can you imagine how hard that would be, like, for everybody? And so Sue would hover at the door with her hood up and peek into the kitchen to check on what was going on, but rarely would she engage with any of the folks that were actually working in the kitchen. And I remember thinking, wow, how limiting that is, followed up by, I wonder what's wrong, what Sue's going through. And so as life happens, as I was leaving, Sue stopped me in the hall and asked if I could help her with her oversensitivity. So here we have a girl that is serving in a retreat center, and she wants to help, but she's also so sensitive that she's taking on, say, the energy of the crowds that come up all summer. And so it kept overloading her. And as a result, she was isolating herself. And so she wanted that engagement with others, but she was constantly being overwhelmed. So, okay, got it. Now, my part was to ask, not tell, was to ask, hey, do you know how to ground effectively? Which she felt she did. And then I asked her if she knew how to shield. And we shield so that it's like she could regulate how much of the energies like flying around affected her. And she had no idea about shielding. But really note, I asked her, I didn't start to tell her. And so one thing to understand is that empaths and intuitives, and actually really sensitive people, they must learn to shield and to ground themselves in order to survive just the world's kind of chaotic energies, and so they can stay clear. So Sue walked me out to my car, and since she had asked to know about shielding, I let her in what I call my advanced shielding process and got her so she was comfortable with that. And then we chatted about this Toltec thing called stalking, also known as, you could call it mindfulness. It's very similar. And so that she can catch when she dropped her shield. All right, this is really important. So most people starting out shielding will drop their shields. And what helps is to look for any agreements that you might have around the why. Why did I drop my shield? What was just happening? Who was I interacting with? What was I thinking or feeling or sensing? And so many people have agreements that we made as young kids that may have worked at 5, but they don't work so well at 25 or 55. Things like we're supposed to let other people's energy in so we know how to please them. Or a part of us thinks that to really serve others, we need to keep ourselves like blown wide open, or that we aren't supposed to defend ourselves, or that we should bow down, right, to all authority, or any of the many things that our younger selves decided was true to survive and stay safe then. But it isn't working so well now. And it certainly doesn't have to be true today. So that's an example of how what I am showing you can apply in life today. And so now, for those that don't know me, I'm Diana Adkins, and I have taught and studied energy work for decades, while also becoming a life coach, a Toltec minister, teacher, and occasionally a batik artist. And so, a friend and colleague of mine, those are some of my batiks and me at a wedding, but a colleague and a friend of mine named Heather Ash, we began working together back in 2000, so it's been a while. And then in 2014, we developed Artists of the Spirits Life and Life Coach Training Program. There's there's our little deal there, to train life, energy, and spiritual coaches. And so basically, it's like what I like to say is we train you for life and we certify you for coaching. And it actually works that way. We're training people for life. Um, and what we did was we took the best of our combined like 50, 60 years of combined world travel, diverse spiritual and practical studies, and our individual teachings, and we combined it all into a way to truly transform lives with unique methodologies, tools, energy practices, Toltec philosophy, and a whole focus actually on using your intuition and your gut feelings that help in understanding like the why and the how we humans kind of became the way we are, along with ways to transform what needs to be shifted or dropped. And so, as we all move through life, and especially as more of us are awakening to the importance and the beauty of diversity, we're learning to relate to people outside of our kind of norm. And so we do that. We'll do that a lot more easily if we actually use the tools that I'm giving you of curiosity that gets you asking questions, that get you listening. Because, hey, I mean, yeah, if you're genuinely curious, you will listen. And doing this, it really does open up a whole new world for both yourself and them. Another aspect of like humdrum lives that many people choose, or well, that happens is that some people will choose a career in life because maybe the parents or a career counselor said it suited you best. They told you that what was best for you was this in terms, for financial success, given your skills, aptitude, and what you were like back then. Back then. I'm sure people, know of it or know someone or have experienced that themselves. And so it's sort of like, okay, this degree or this job, and now we think we have to do at least one of those options because some perceived authority told us that that was the best for us to be able to earn a living. And so, the problem was they weren't telling us what was best for our heart and our soul. And so we then did it and we took the job, we did the career, we did it for a while or years or decades. And a lot of us are at a stage, I'm sure some of you are feeling it right now, where you're like, yeah, I did that, been there, done that, did the degree, got the career choice, and now I'm ready for a change. And maybe you're kind of like over it, or you just don't like it anymore, right? And so maybe it's the status quo of doing the 9 to 5, like with Dolly Parton. That was always a great movie, the 9 to 5. That's gotten boring, or it's just not really fun anymore. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. And so I'll give you an example. I was an accountant specializing in nonprofit accounting, and I started this when I was like 28 years old. And weirdly, I was really, really good at it because it made linear sense to my mind. And since so many were afraid of nonprofit taxes, that's my area, that gave me a corner in the market. And so anyway, I was good at it. It paid the bills. But after a time, it wasn't feeding my soul. And what actually happened in my life was that my Toltec community moved to Texas. And later, my landlords got murdered by their son. And so their Earthship that I was living in, and these are really, really cool, um, was going to be sold or going to probate and be sold. So this was back in 2006, and the rates were terrible then. And so I wasn't going to buy the Earthship, no matter how amazing they really are. I figured that since I had to move anyway, I would follow my, community, my Toltec community back to Texas. So I moved in the middle of the woods outside of Austin, about an hour outside of Austin. I was like, accounting is something I'm good at, and it puts food on the table for sure, but it's not feeding my heart and my soul. I was already a Toltec teacher and minister. I had my apprentices and stuff. So I decided right then that I wanted to choose a career that fed my soul. And I became what I jokingly call a recovering accountant. And so something that I have focused on for many, many decades is manifesting and how to do that. And I have been blessed with genuine miracles in my life. And so this story, though, continues in that here I am, I'm on 13 acres in the middle of friggin' nowhere, an hour outside of Austin, and I'm using my savings to live on, and that had to change. And so one morning I sat down with my chai to feel into what it was I really wanted as a career, but we're trying not to be very specific about it. So that what I call like the universe has the room to be creative in what I actually did receive. And so my list ended up being this. I wanted the freedom to choose my work hours, to be able to work from home, a lot of it, if not all of it, to make a high enough hourly rate or wage or salary that I didn't have to work full time. I wanted to help people with self-awareness and transformation. I wanted a sunny, beautiful, relaxed environment. I wanted control over who I took on to work with, and I wanted to love what I did. And you see how broad that is, right? And so there's a story, urban myth story about a woman that wanted a red convertible. All right. So that she could drive to work, so that she could feel the sun in her face and the wind in her hair and have that joy of feeling the elements as she went to and from work. And because she was so focused on this red convertible, she completely missed that the universe was providing exactly what the feeling of what she wanted and what was healthier for her when somebody gave her a shiny new red bicycle that fit all of her desires. Or maybe she would get a motorcycle, I don't know. No matter what, she felt that the universe had failed her because she didn't get the red convertible. And she was completely wrong. I mean, the universe did provide. It provided what her heart wanted, was the wind in her hair, all of that. Anyway, so it really can help to think of what you want broadly and really focus on the feeling state that you want. And so what happened to me as the story goes on is, so here I am on my 13 acres and I'm dreaming into what I want. And it's December, right, of 2006, I think. And understand, didn't know anything about life coaching then. So it wasn't on my radar at all. And in fact, life coaching would never have shown up as an option for me since it was just becoming a thing out there. And so then out of the blue, so I did my list, put it out to the universe, and then out of the blue in January, I am approached by a group starting a new program that wanted to offer life coaching. But since life coaching was still so new, there weren't any coaches around. It was really hard to find. So here's the beauty of the miracle. I was offered the training to become a certified life coach, and then they gave me my first clients and they paid me for the clients. I mean, seriously, I had never heard of life coaching before that. So, I mean, my career was doing exactly what I wanted. It was now feeding my heart and my soul, and I was truly helping and serving people around the world. I mean, that, and I get to love what I do. And so, again, I just started out with this list. And so that's another trick that you can take forward in your life. And so to manifest what you really want, you go in and you list it all out. You list out your actual real desires and dreams, and then go deeper. So if you want the car, why do you want the car? If you want the house, why? Because it's not really the thing that we want. It deep down, it's what having that thing gives us and how that makes us feel. Like with a house, maybe it's so your kids can have more room or a yard to play in or have their own bedrooms, or maybe you can have a study or a she shed or a man cave, right? So you get to the feeling of your desires. And maybe the she shed and man cave are so that you can have some privacy where it's just you and you don't have to worry about other people. Whatever it is, you get to the feeling state of your desires. And so if you keep with the feeling, then it's kind of vague enough that there are not limits on the universe and how it's going to bring it to you. If you want a house, say, I want a house to feel the space or to have more privacy or room. Don't limit it to, say, a clapboard or a two-story or a ranch house, right? And so then to keep on manifesting, you want to feel into having it. You want to visualize, see yourself enjoying your day at home or wherever it is in a great environment, able to do things and have the freedom that you want or whatever you want. Whatever your dream is, see it. Imagine having it, living it, and then it helps if you take action on it. Okay? So thinking, it goes like this. Thinking puts a little bit of energy out into the universe. Taking action puts tons of energy out into the universe. And so while I personally didn't do anything extra, particularly for what came to me, I was still checking out job listings in the Austin area. So I wasn't idle. If you want a house, go start looking at houses, just looking. If you want a new car, go test drive cars. If, yeah, whatever it is you want, just focus and take some steps toward it. If you want better relationships, invite people for dinner. And so for me, um, for any of those that like me, that got stuck in the paradigm of doing work that worked at the time, but doesn't work so much now, or if you're thinking that coaching is for businesses or that only businesses hire coaches, I'm here to tell you things have changed because coaching today is for everybody. And there are more personal coaches being hired today because the industry has now grown to almost 15 billion in annual revenues globally. That and the whole kind of stigma back from 30 years ago that needing help being bad, that has changed to more like, hell yeah, I want some support. What are you, crazy? Of course I want some support. And the growth of coaching is, in a sense, it's actually growing so fast because of the transformation that people receive and experience, the impact it creates in society, and the success that so many receive through coaching. All of this has made life coaching actually the second fastest growing industry in the world. And here's what some of my coaching graduates have said, say over the past 9 years, actually, I'm in my 10th year now, that Artists of the Spirit has been training these life and energy coaches. And so Kelly speaks to what I've been describing regarding career and life transitions and how you'll grow into your authenticity. So she says, this program was perfect for this time in my life. I started it as I was leaving a job where I had worked for 22 years. And the course and the coaching really helped me to process the life transition I was going through and to emerge strong and committed to my new path as a coach. Artists gave me the tools and confidence to move forward. And then Ryan felt that artists helped me to personally strip back layers and bring to life beliefs that align with how I want to live. The content of the course is very direct, which makes retaining the information easy and learning the skills feel so much easier. Diana was great to talk with, and provided feedback that was great to help me feel more comfortable in the coaching space. I would highly recommend this course. And thank you, Ryan. And I'm really grateful for the hundreds of testimonials that Artist has received over the years that you can read on Artist of the Spirit site. So to all y'all, thank you. And, I'm somebody who's been coaching and training for long enough to know that it is a real career and it can be a real business opportunity for somebody that wants to create impact in the world while creating financial freedom, or maybe just adding to what they're currently doing and expanding their skills. So it's an opportunity. People think, well, what do coaches make? And, I actually looked it up. And so some of the statistics are that coaches can make between, say, $50,000 and $100,000 a year. But understand me now, it's just like any and every other career or business out there. We have to work to make it work. So a lawyer, masseuses, restaurants, accountants, yoga studios, gyms, they all have to let people know that they're open. And the same is true for coaches. And that's why I have a ton of material on heart-based service and heart-based, it's service-based marketing. And so in the program, this is some of the marketing stuff. It's a kind of a crazy little slide there, but that's a bunch of what gets shared in Artists of the Spirit. And I'm going to show you really quick a couple of other graduates speaking to the business side of coaching. And so Tanya Evans was saying, she goes, what an incredible experience it was for me taking the Artist of the Spirit Coach program. I'm new to the coaching game and have been put off by many of the coaching certifications out there, mostly just marketing ploys. Artist is rooted in integrity and authenticity, and the spiritual basis for the teaching is really evident. Diana delivers a curriculum from a grounded and intentional space and is a master at what she does, making her a great teacher of the work that she has developed. I highly recommend for anyone who wants to learn more about being an active listener and to develop intuitive skills, regardless of whether you want to coach or not. Thank you, Tanya. And then Karen Jackson said, I just finished taking this 3-month course and have to say that it exceeded my expectations. And I was expecting or hoping for a lot. The weekly feedback from my peer coaching sessions, the monthly coaching sessions with Diana, and the extensive amount of information we learned each week have given me the confidence I need to be a successful coach. Yay, Karen. And so now you're going to ask, well, all right, what is the opportunity with life coaching? And so I came up with something called 170 coaching niche ideas. And of course, after that, I came up with more. So there are hundreds of niches niche areas to coach in. Thus, there's tons of opportunity in the field. And you can find all that on that report, actually, on Artists of the Spirit's website as well. And so understand, while coaching is sitting at about 15 billion today globally, it's new. It's a new industry. So it's not mature. And it's, as a result, in a sense, it's growing fast, which is also why it is unregulated in most places around the world. And so I was listening a while back to a talk that brought up a really good point, that as AI, artificial intelligence, is entering the global market and the global scene in a huge way, many are wondering about job security and whether their job could become obsolete, say 5 years from now. And, reports actually are saying that this is going to happen in some places and that even more human jobs will become obsolete. And so it may help us to focus, though, what I've also, some of the statistics have said, something that will help with this is it's going to help us to focus on what's really important, which is being human and that humans that actually talk to each other and support each other in deeper, more meaningful ways. So coaching career is one place where it pays to be human. And in fact, it is a requirement. You got to be human to do this job. And in reality, too, is a lot of people have lost that skill of actual human-to-human communication. I mean, they're great on TikTok or social media, but one-on-one, not so much. And that might be why, for me, it's becoming annoying. Things like please, thank you, and basic courtesy are becoming obsolete because people are out of practice. They're on TikTok or on computers or phones. They're not in person. And so because coaching is like one-on-one or one to a few or kind of a career, there's a whole slice of people that are going to need support adjusting to coming global changes. That is true. On the flip side, another really cool thing I've heard people say is that people are becoming more aware and more interested in their heart and their soul. And let's say, and I've seen it in my marketing too, that there's a whole lot of people looking and say searching for spiritual and energy work, or maybe a higher or greater purpose or calling. And what they're kind of doing, also wanting, is to pay it forward and supporting more than just themselves or a paycheck. Most of the people that come through, at least my programs, that's where their hearts are at. And so you see, coaching is not only something that you do for other people or your clients. I mean, initially, you do it for your friends, you do it for your partner, you do it for your kids, and you do it for your parents, but you do it for yourself first. That's one of the tenets of artists. You take the tools you're learning and you've got to apply them on yourself first so that you kind of get it in your bones. And so then the more skilled that you become in the art and science of coaching, then the better you become as an individual and the more growth you actually experience for yourself. And maybe like me, you're looking for something that's more meaningful or more impactful, and yet you still get quality of life, quality of income. And for me, big one was freedom in life. And since you're here, there's a likelihood that you're interested in personal growth and interested in personal transformation, and that you're curious about how you could change your life and also change the life, excuse me, got the hiccups, lives of the people around you. If that's you, maybe this is an interesting career for you to explore or great tools to add your current toolbox. It could be, right? And so there's a quote by David Wilcox that really hit me strongly. When you lay your dreams to rest, you can get what's second best, but it's hard to get enough. That's kind of why I became a recovering accountant and focusing on the recovering part, because it was really hard for me to get enough doing that or doing only that. And so maybe you're a person that today, like Amy, she doesn't want to wait another 5 years, and you're not going to sit on your dreams, or you're not going to delay and defer and forget about your dreams, and you're not going to give your heart yet another excuse. You're going to take action today because you know that this dream wants to be fulfilled within this timeline and within this lifetime. So I'll just highlight another couple of testimonials simply because you might identify with their experience. And these are real cases of individuals that are from artists' circle. And so Astrid really felt like, it was such a beautiful experience. I love how much I've learned and unlearned while learning to become a coach and continue to give the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Diana. And I love that, the gift that keeps on giving, indeed. Or Eleni was saying that many may arrive at this course with the desire to learn how to better assist and serve others on their journey through the work of a coach. However, they will find what feels like a personal invitation to access their own inner dynamic wisdom and the chance to do so in a safety of a container that is so gently and skillfully held and supported. Thank you, Eleni. And then Carrie expressed her gratitude for what artists did for her. She says, I'm just eternally grateful for this experience. It opened up my heart and mind and lit a pathway for me. I am much more grounded, intuitive, and curious person now. This experience will guide me into the next chapter of my life. And so if you're looking to dig deeper into your own transformation, or maybe you're looking for your next chapter, or looking to expand your toolbox of skills and enrich what you're already doing, this program might be perfect for you because it will give you all of that and more. And so even if you've been wildly successful, you got the career, and you're already like crushing it in your life in a lot of ways, we can all still upgrade ourselves and what we offer to the world even more. I mean, it's called growth, basically. And so I figure that when we're finished learning and growing, we die and pass on. And so we're still here and we can still grow and learn more. And so if you are going, oh yeah, but I've got life covered. I've got the great relationships. I'm making the money. I'm healthy. My parenting, my relationships with kids, everything is a 10 on a scale of 10. I'm like, dang, that sounds so exciting. And I will still ask you, how can you upgrade that? How can you expand your ceilings and learn and grow and be and share even more? Because I believe that we can all say upgrade, and most people can't see beyond their ceilings to what more is possible. And since coaching and coaches rather really are bridges, and bridges help us to cross over hurdles and chasms, coaching helps folks over the pitfalls and the chasms because, hey, we've already crossed that bridge. So it's true. As coaches, we are on the other side of that issue, and we can really help you get to the other side too. All coaching, no matter the area, should be based on being that bridge and supporting folks with what I call ARC, ARC, which means awareness, release, and claim, or maybe create. So awareness, release, and create, or awareness, release, and claim. And I know Tony Robbins also talks about coaches being a bridge, and coaching helps us to follow the arc from our old self to our new transformed self. And it is pretty exciting. I mean, because that is one big trough to not have to suffer through, right? And I'm fond of saying we can't change what we can't see. So we absolutely need to see what's going on with and in ourselves first. And then when we're aware, we can choose what to either transform or keep. And so to do that, um, we release what's no longer serving us, what's not working. And I personally view the release as transformation. And like Astrid said, we unlearn and um, we transform, and we do that by releasing the old. And we really do have to let go, right? We have to let go to get to the new, to get to the forefront, so that we can get it experientially. Okay, so that we can now create clearly, as well as then help others to transform. And we can't do that if we're holding on. We just can't. And so once we let go of what doesn't work, and once we really transform, then we can clearly and cleanly create. We can claim and create the new based on our authentic feelings and truths rather than the old ideas and beliefs that didn't serve us, and they're not even true for us today. Because I know that a new round of possibility can open up, and that you can start making even more impact in the world as you go through the journey of discovery that's Artists of the Spirit. And so I'm going to tell you just a little bit about artists, a little more about artists, I'd say, to become, it was an invitation, if you'd like, to join Artists of the Spirit and become a life, energy, and spiritual coach. And so we've had people in almost every spiritual and religious background. And so artists I think they're attracted to artists because the focus is on you and on finding and living your truth, not my truth or your parents' truth or your partner's truth or, your younger 5-year-old's truth, not even your society's truth, but your truth today. All right. And so while I'm going to talk a bit on the finer points, I want you to know that we've started a whole brand new student class called Artist Live. And Artist Live is for those that want the tools and don't need the certification. And it's also like half the cost, more than half, or more, less than half the cost of the certification program. And with that, with Artist Live, you attend all of the classes with me live. You just don't go through the certification process. It's pretty exciting. So it's like many have asked, we finally listened, and now we're offering that. And for me, it's really rewarding to hear students hear from students rather, that this program changed their lives. All right, I've thought about it, and I really think part of the reason that Artist does that is because you learn a new way of looking at human development. and it's kind of, well, it's new for most of you, but it's ancient in that it is from the Toltec philosophy, which started, let's just say 2,100 years ago. So it's old and it's absolutely frigging brilliant. All right. Hopefully, if you've never heard of the Toltecs, maybe you've heard of Don Miguel Ruiz and the Four Agreements. Maybe Carlos Castaneda's Don Juan. All of these were Toltecs. And if you haven't, well, then how exciting you get to learn something new. And then I also think artists is really impactful because I insist, I mean, all the time, that you use the tools and practices on yourself for yourself first. And I do that so that you can get them in your bones. You can get them experientially. And so artist is very intuition and like gut feeling focused. So I start you off at the very, very first class, focusing on developing your intuition and your curiosity that I talked about all this time too. I do believe that it's vital to experience the transformations for yourself so that you do get it in your bones. And this way of learning, it kind of transcends book learning because it's an experience. It's not a page in a book or just a concept. What you learn in artists becomes a way of life or a lifestyle. You also get coached throughout the course so that you get to work on yourself as you go. So for certifying students, I coach you once a month. And then at the start of the second month of the program, you start peer coaching, which is where you're matched with another student in the program. You start coaching them as well as being coached by another. And then for the third month of the program, we switch it up. So you've worked with two people before you ever graduate. And so what working with two different people means is that you can also get two testimonials that you're starting out with, but you get to see it from both perspectives, from the client's perspective and from the coach's perspective. And after your first session, I start giving you personal feedback, and I call it fine tuning on ways to improve your skills. So so that you can see things that might need improvement, and you can also see what you probably don't see that you're actually doing and need to course correct, let's say. So you're getting feedback as you practice the coaching to be basically the best coach you can possibly be. And of course, we discuss how you're doing each month when you and I coach you. And as for both student groups, certifying and non-certifying, the Artist Live, the beauty comes after the program as you interact with people in your life that you share what you know works with because you've done it, you've seen it, and you've used it, and you know it works. You also get to receive support throughout artists, but then for the certifying, once you're certified, I offer certified students a free monthly coaching support call, which is an informal time for questions and ideas and this and that. You also will have an Artists of the Spirit Facebook page that's just for like the graduates only page, where I will post continuing education links and new developments in the world of coaching, and where coaches, again, can ask for and receive help, share ideas, support each other. And so artist doesn't just disappear once you're certified. And understand as well that I like the intimate classes. For me, I like them. And so keep that in mind when you signed up, that they are small, intimate classes. And so I keep artists to say you're very small. You're going to be 1 in 10 or 20, not 1 in hundreds or thousands, like Mind Valley and Tony Robbins and these folks. And so Shannon was sharing just the highlighted parts about how you make friends in this group and artists, and that it's a close community. And folks do, they make friends that continue long beyond the class. And so that is also great. And as what is also great is that as you work with your friends or clients as a certified life energy and spiritual coach, you're like, I love this. You're spreading the concepts and the tools even further, and you get to see the transformation happening around you and in the world. So I get to see it through you. I'm dropping the pebble, the ripples go out. You're picking that ripple up. You're then going out and you're spreading the ripple. And these brilliant teachings can then keep spreading around the globe. And I've had students all over the world. So yeah, this is really exciting. And that's my brand of magic. And so if you're somebody that's interested in starting to concretely transform your life in the next 3 to 4 months, and if you're somebody who wants to then support transformation in your immediate family, friends, clients, business, work, if you're somebody that wants to embrace the beauty of supported, unlimited transformation in work with some really cool tools, or if you're interested in making coaching a full or part-time career, you're in the right spot. And heck, if you just want to add tools to your toolbox, tools that I know work, you're still in the right place. I've already shown you methods that if you take what I've shared with you today, they have the power to change your life. That's a promise. And then Artist is going to give you hundreds more ways, ideas, tools, and practices. So even more transformation is possible. Again, starting with you and then moving outward. And then while Artist is founded in Toltec philosophy, using intuition and energy, I'm going to just really briefly, I'm going to try not to go over an hour. I'm going to briefly tell you what you get in the 13 weeks. And so week 1 is what coaching is not. And that is really valuable. Learning what is not your job, as well as coaching guidelines and all of that. You get to understand the brilliance of Toltec philosophy. We'll focus on that. And then the precepts, coaching precepts, which are basically to listen, ask before you offer, suspend judgment and assumptions, bring in curiosity and creativity, open to greater wisdom and intuition. And if you mess up, you fess up, since basically we're all just doing the best that we can. Week 2, we go into more depth around asking questions and listening, and then the nuts and bolts of how you hold an actual session. And that's got forms and quizzes and templates and things that you can use on yourself, of course, but then with your clients. In week 3, it's all around how do you hold the coaching container? How do you hold energetically for your clients? And then you also start energy work. You start in the first class, but here with grounding and shielding. And there's a great quote by an author. Her name is Anne Patchett, that I just love. To get to the art, you must master the craft. And it doesn't have to take long, but you do have to practice. I've heard it said that the Dalai Lama practices 4 or 5 hours a day. And I mean, that's the friggin' Dalai Lama. So we do need to put some practice time in, right? And then in the 4th class, week 4, we delve into obstacles to growth. And the strategies I mentioned earlier, pleaser, isolator, distractor, and controller. You've got a strategy quiz that you get to take, but then you can then take it out and use it with clients. And then we also talk about in that week 4, the importance of telling yourself the truth. Week 5 and 6 are where we go into various ways to handle action steps. And action steps are what get our clients from point to point to point, from A to eventually Z on their path, with ideas, examples, the value of running them, so that you really get it experientially, and your clients will too. Week 7 begins a month of another passion of mine, which is the energetic healing tools. You learn the basics of energy, how we use it in a coaching environment. You learn specific Toltec tools of stalking and recapitulation that are incredible, as well as a ton of things that we have proven work great in a coaching environment. Week 8 continues with the tools by learning how to actually lead somebody through these practices, lead them through, say, an inner shamanic journey, which is where they're basically going deeper into themselves and their subconscious to find answers and to questions. Along with creating an inner sanctuary, how to do inner child work, how to clear energy fields, and more. Then in weeks 9 and 10, we focus on learning or teaching you this amazingly powerful energetic healing tool. We call it inner fire healing or shamanic healing. And I will lead somebody through a session live, but there's a lot of recordings for you to read and listen to support you in kind of getting it. And while coaches work with well people, we also work with people that walk the line between needing a therapist or using a coach. So in week 11, we touch on those special needs or areas that need special care and attention, and how to handle those as a coach. Things like suicide and abuse, trauma, PTSD, eating disorders, body and aging issues, depression, recovery, and how do you handle work with death. Week 12 is all about self-care, self-esteem, overcoming overwhelm, and a bunch of different things that you'll encounter in clients and how to work with them. Like, how important faith and gratitude and various things are and they do absolutely come up in coaching. And then lastly, in week 13, again, those are all the marketing parts. And we get into the business end of coaching because, like I said earlier, coaching is a business. We have to work to make it work, and we do. And so, we talked about your self-imposed money ceilings, calling in clients, serving versus selling, ton of marketing tools, how to hold free discovery sessions, Facebook marketing. I mean, I've just got so much there. And I love this slide, the Ikigai. It's how using this, what you love, what you're good at, everything that comes in, if you look in the center, that's your Ikigai. And so it's how you combine all of these things together. And then from that, once you've done that, there's a whole piece on this with a bunch of questions and ways for you to explore yourself and design, getting to know you and how you're going to put yourself out there. Then you can move on to, so after you've identified your unique style, your mission, I'm using this model, you can then go on to design websites and things like that. I mean, I even touch on taxes, coaching, insurance, contracts, chat GPT, and a whole lot of stuff before we close. And so I usually tell students at the 12th class, don't freak out when you get to the 13th class because it has so much information. And it's going to be there and you're going to download it. So it's like they can jump right in or take their time. So it's like, just relax. I've also been told that a whole lot of coaching training systems out there don't give you actual marketing training. Like I think Mindvalley, they're going to give you a bunch of audios on how others did it and a half an hour call with somebody, but that does have value. No, I mean, it does have value, but I know and believe that you need more concrete tools and steps, not just case studies to listen to how somebody else has done it. So once the whole 3-month, 13 weeks are over, you then have the following month to finish up any coaching sessions for yourself or with me. And then you can move on to do the written and oral parts of the certification. So if you stay current, you got your peer coaching calls in, you could be certified in just the first week after the end of the coursework. Or you can, take the rest of the month. That's up to you. And so this is a graphic that compares different courses that highlights some of the differences between artist and other courses. And so the length varies, how the classes are delivered varies, tools you learn varies. All programs better give you the forms, templates, quizzes, and more. And Artist is the only one I know of that gives you the energy healing and journeying tools. We also give you a group coaching process on how to market group coaching, which is really, really a good way to offer your services. We might be the only program using the peer-to-peer coaching practice, at least that I know of. And we are unique in giving you the personal individual feedback. We're the only established program that offers the monthly one-on-one coaching calls with the founder to get to talk with me. Every program should have email and phone support, Q&A, and all of that. We do give you a private group Facebook page for every group. We also have tons of the marketing tools, skills, methods, and ideas, as well as resource lists, because why reinvent the wheel, right? So Artist is the only program with free, live, ongoing coaching support after you graduate, as well as a graduates only Facebook page for continuing education, staying in touch, and all of that. Everybody that certifies does get the printed certification. And then you also are going to get a seal, artist seal, which looks like that. The real seal says that you're certified as a life, energy, and spiritual coach. But this is an authority piece, so people can immediately see that, yeah, okay, this person has been trained. And so, of course, you're going to get the license. You get it. It's on gold leaf parchment paper. That's perfect for framing. And that's there for certification, but a lot of people will take the program because they want the transformation and they want the tools. And they also want the support as they go along. But they don't need the certification. This is why the new Artist Live was created just for you. And since Artist is not like any other program out there, you're going to leave the course a completely different person. There is no way that you cannot change unless you don't do any of the work for yourself. And so when you do, you grow. You become more aware, more skilled, and a more capable person. That's a promise. At 10 years, nine years now, going into the 10th year of seeing this work and happen with hundreds of students. And so you've probably been going, okay, great, sounds good. What's the cost? Well, I just wanted to quickly share that prior to creating this webinar, I went and I looked at what other people were charging, what the competition was, and I came out feeling like stoked that we're still offering the best value for the money. So programs like Mindvalley are about the same amount of time as Artists, but they are charging $3,500, which is way more expensive than us. And Artist gives you 3 certifications, not just one. FindYourCoach.com said that Tony Robbins charges $5,000 to $8,000 for a 6-month program for 1 certification. Life Purpose Institute, $3,000 to $4,000 for 1 certification. And I found others going up to as high as $12,000 for a year-long training for 1 certification. And at Artist, you do get 3. So for Artists, 3 certifications, certifying you in 3 months with all the benefits, the cost is $2,100. And you can pay that all at once or in 3 installments of $720 each. The non-certifying Artist Live is now just $997, and that's also payable in 3 installments of $350 each. And so those that are really strapped for cash, you can contact me for a 6-month payment plan with only the certifying program, and you get the certification once you finish the payment plan. So I'm really trying to make it as easy for you as possible. You will hear people say that their name or their brand name is going to make a difference. And I'm wondering if that's why they're charging so much, truthfully, but because it's just not true. I mean, many have heard of Tony Robbins, absolutely, because hello, it's Tony Robbins, right? He's a big guy and a star in many fields, but everybody else, not so much, or not at all. And it's kind of fine, you know, and just because Tony is Tony, it doesn't mean in the actual what you receive it doesn't, yeah, you just have to look at the programs. And because all of the programs are probably good. I believe they all are. But there are more people in the world that have no idea who some of these people are. Many people actually don't know who Tony Robbins or Mindvalley or all these people are. So while training is vital, who trained you isn't so much. The quality of the program is vital, you know, but yeah, not so much for the rest of it. And then there's some really cheapo places like Udemy where, you know, you pay $10 and get a certificate that means nothing. So a lot are going to tell you also that you need International Coach Federation certification. That's not true either. So what ICF did, I think it was brilliant. They set themselves up as experts. But remember, coaching is not a registered, it's not being tracked. You don't have, it's regulated, that's my word. They have no more authority than anybody else out there certifying you. They have none. So I thought to get their credentials added for Artists, but they wanted thousands of dollars every year, and I just have not found it necessary. And that might change. So really right now, this is your chance. Basically, it's your chance to use the gift of your life to make the world a better place. And that is real magic. All right. And because while certification is needed, the truth is that people are looking for results. So check out testimonials on any program you might be thinking about. If they've been in business more than a couple of years, there are going to be tons of testimonials. Check out my testimonials for Artists on our website. I've already given that to you, artistofthespiritcoachtraining.org. And so the sweet thing about today is you don't have to decide for the entire investment. Today, all you're doing is going to Artist page, and I'll put the apply now in the, I'll put it up later. This is where you can make a deposit to hold your spot, as well as request an application. And the deposit, the $200 deposit, is 100% refundable or applied to your tuition amount. And so you've gotten me to know me a little bit today. The application we asked for is so I can get to know you. I can get to know you. And so given the intimate nature of artists, since you're going to be 1 in 15 or 10 or 8 or 20, that's intimate. We're going to spend a lot of time together. And we want to make sure that the container is a pretty solid one and that we're all interested in being community members that truly want transformation for themselves and the world around them, which is also why there's an application form. And so there's payment plans that you receive. And again, you get to have, that's a certification with a seal on it. And then basically it's just an invitation to join us. All right. The next class is starting on February 6th, and your Mission Impossible is to, should you choose to accept it, is to spend the 2 or 3 or 4 hours a week for 3 months to learn some dynamic new skills and tools as a coach to become certified to help and support others as a life, energy, and spiritual coach. And the truth also is February 6th is right around the corner. And so you're going to want to apply right away. And get a jump on the process. This is the page, it shows you where apply contact is, and because space is limited. And note, a big and important thing to understand, this is another big one. We've got the Artist Live, but we're also moving from offering artists 4 times a year to just twice a year. So Artist is only going to be offered in February and September. And so if you miss February, then you got a little bit of a wait coming up. And then once you do the application, which is again, you ask for that on our website, I'll send you everything you need to know from that point forward. And so right now, you don't have to fully decide if you're going to commit to the program. You're simply deciding, hey, you know, I want to put a deposit down. I want to get approved. And if that's it, this is your sign to do that. That's the first step. And after that first, you can decide on payment plans, payment methods, and all of that. You could even try it out for a couple of weeks. And if it doesn't feel all right to you, it's pretty simple. I mean, we've got a 2-week guarantee, so you can get a full refund. So you get to try the program out. If it's not for you, just send us an email within the first 2-week time frame, and I'll refund you your payments with no issue whatsoever. And so that's it. I did go a little bit over. I apologize, but not hugely. I just really, really love what I do. I love this program, and it's like, yeah, I know it's good. I've got the testimonials to back it up, but this is what I mean by getting it in your bones. I know it's good. And I've got that in my bones. I know that it's going to transform your life. I have that in my bones as well. And so my support to you is check it out. I guarantee, I promise the transformation happens. Check out the testimonials. They're going to say the exact same thing. And so thank you. Be well. And perhaps we'll see you in Artists of the Spirit. Bye-bye.